Welcome to a new video. This week I'm going to be concentrating on full spectrum infrared photography. So basically, digital cameras have got a filter in front of the sensor. It's an IR blocking filter. Sometimes they call it a low pass filter or a hot mirror. Now basically, when you get your camera converted to infrared, they remove this filter and replace it with a clear piece of glass or clear filter, which allows the camera to capture more light, especially in low light situations. Now my camera was converted to full spectrum about 18 months ago, and I use this purely for infrared photography now. There are sort of various conversion options that you can get. You can get it converted to one type, for instance 720, 850, 560. There's different types of conversions, but if you're in any doubt, I would go for a full spectrum because it gives you more options. Now you can use the camera for normal photography, however you would need astrophotography, for instance. It's very good for that in low light photography, but you would need to use a hot mirror filter. So like I say, I purely use mine for just purely for infrared. So why mirrorless? Well, you can get DSLRs converted as well, but with a DSLR camera, when you look through the viewfinder, you're seeing a reflex image off a mirror basically, so you don't see the effect of the infrared. Whereas with a mirrorless camera, you're getting a live view of the effect, so you can see it through the viewfinder and obviously on the live view on the screen as well. So it makes it a much better option to use a mirrorless camera. So during the video, I'm going to give you a brief look at how to color channel swap your images. Now I do this when I use the 590 filter. Sometimes it looks great just as it is, but sometimes I color swap or channel swap the image to give it like a blue tone. But I'll briefly go over that for you as well in the video later on. But I think for now I'm going to get out in the field and show you some examples using various filters and what this camera can produce. So infrared season's finally kicked off. We're in April still, late April, but there's some nice new leaves coming out on the trees now, and you can see behind me bluebells. I'm not shooting bluebells today. I've done bluebells to death over the years, but I'm going to shoot a bit of infrared this afternoon. So I'm going to go through my setup and different filters and do some example photos of what you can get with different filters, but I'll chat more about that in a minute. So we're going to go up into the woods. There's some lovely growth on these trees, so very simple shot. I'm going to hopefully use a longer lens. My 70-200 is the plan, just to shoot some nice cropped in images of the trees with the new leaves in various stages of infrared. So let's go and get set up. So I'm over at a place called Woods. I used to live in Ermington, which is the village just across the other side of the valley there. I miss this place. Spent hours and hours and days up here during lockdown, photographing wildlife and all the flowers and stuff throughout the year. So we've moved away from here about 4 years ago now. But yeah, I miss this place. Got these lovely trees here, and you can see all the new growth on the trees. It's very overcast today, not too sunny, which is good. That's what I wanted. Don't want any blaring sunshine coming through the canopy. So I'm shooting today with my 70-200 lens. It's the Sony f4 version, but it's great for stuff like this. I haven't used this since the summer last year, so I'll pop up a couple of pictures that I've done with this camera, just to give you an idea of the results that you can get with infrared. So here I used an 850 nm filter in the middle of the day. Best time to use it. You can see how the whites of the actual foliage of the trees and the grass stand out in nice contrasty rocks there, and the sky. This lovely tree, which is fairly local to me, shot this with the 590 filter, and this was unswapped, so as it came out of the camera. Really like this shot. Very subtle colour, but yeah, it's really done it justice. Again, the 590 filter, just showing you what kind of effect you can get with it. Gives you almost like a fairy tale effect. Lovely pinks in the sky and the bright leaves. This image has got to be one of my favourite infrared shots I've done so far. Taken in France last year on a trip that we did back in the summer, and it was the first shot that I got from the trip. So in post-processing, I basically duplicated the picture. The first picture I channel swapped, and I left the original picture as it was with the pinky tones. I then blended the two shots together in Photoshop, adjusted the curves, levels, took the saturation down a little bit, and ended up with this. I got mine converted at a place called ProTech Photographic. I'll drop a link to their website in the bottom. I paid, I can't remember the exact amount, but I think it was around £250, £260 to have it converted. It takes a while to do, so you send your camera body off, comes back all converted, job done. You can then use, with a full spectrum camera, you can use different filters on the front. So I've got three different ones. I've got an 850 NM, I've got a 590 NM, and I've got a 720 NM. So I'm going to go through the various filters and show you the different effects that you can get with them. So I'll have a little chat about my composition. Very simple composition, shooting at about 100mm on the 70 to 200. I'm using the 850 NM filter, which gives me the black and white effect. Now what I do, a couple of camera settings here. If I go into my creative style, this depends on the camera that you use, but like color styles, I'm not sure what the cameras call it. And then I can choose sort of standard, portrait, vivid, neutral, those different colors. Basically put it into black and white mode. Gives you a good representation then of what you're going to get at the end of the shoot. Now I'm shooting raw, so obviously it doesn't matter when you come to post-processing, but this just gives you an aid to actually shoot with and helps you see what the shot's going to look like. So I'm going to try this one first, and then I'm going to go through what it looks like with the 720 filter, and then obviously with the 590 as well. So the 850 gives me a much more contrasty result, a lot more darker blacks and brighter whites. So I've now swapped to the 720 filter, which again is very similar. It's not as strong as the 850. So you can notice my exposure's jumped up. So I've dropped that back down again. I quite like the effect of this. It depends on certain situations. I normally find if it's direct, strong sunlight, the 850 works a lot better. But this looks quite nice. I'm going to take this now. So a lot more subtle effect with the 720, not so contrasty. I prefer the 850. And last but not least, this is one of my favourite filters for infrared. This is a 590 NM filter, and you can notice it's a very orangey red colour. So if I pop that on the front of the lens, and you'll notice that at the moment it doesn't change the colour. So this is where my white balance setting is changed by going into the custom white balance. I then take a sample of the scene in front of me. The camera then captures the data of that scene and gives me a corresponding white balance. Now obviously shooting raw, it doesn't matter because it comes out as is on the computer, but this helps you while you're actually shooting the pictures. So this is the result I get, which is unswapped, so straight from camera. I quite like this effect, so sometimes I don't channel swap the image, I just keep it as it is and just reduce the vibrance and the saturation a little bit, but I quite like this effect. Well, that was nice, that shot. I'm going to walk back down now to a little bit further down that way where there are some bluebells. I said I wouldn't shoot bluebells, but not not bluebells as you know them. So yeah, this little spot down here, photographed here quite a few times. This is about the best area of bluebells in this woodland. I know I wouldn't shoot bluebells, but I didn't want to shoot bluebells. But this in infrared, this is the thing with infrared. It takes on a whole different. It's a whole different ball game. It kind of completely kind of transforms scenes that you wouldn't normally photograph, and that's what I spent most of last year doing, shooting all kinds of stuff in infrared. It really, really gives a different take on stuff. So that gives a rough idea of the different filter types shooting out in the field. Now, when it comes to the editing, I'll take you through the stages of that now. I'm not going to go too in depth. This isn't a technical review or anything, so I'll just go through the basic procedure to channel swap the images, especially those last two. So here's my shot that I took with a 590 filter. This is unswapped. So basically, once the picture's open, go into image and adjustments, channel mixer, and basically we're working with the red channel and the blue channel, and you can see that's at 100 and that's at 0. So we basically swap those values around. So 0 on the red, 100 on the blue, and then go into the blue channel and do the same, but obviously reversed. So 0 on the blue, 100 on the red, and that's it. That's converted. That's channel swap now. So if I can then go into my adjustments again, you can play around with the image. Then I normally take the vibrance down a little bit and the saturation, but this is open to interpretation. You can do whatever you like there, and that's basically it. So hopefully this has given you a little bit of an introduction to full spectrum infrared and the effects that you can achieve with it. I love it. I'm pretty hooked on this camera. I say through last year I was shooting with it all the time. It's one of those things that it's nice to have in your bag. It's a bit of an expensive conversion cost, but the alternatives aren't really that good. I know you can do it in software and replicate that sort of look, but having it done in camera, like anything, it's so much better when you're out shooting. Sometimes you'll miss shots if you didn't have it, basically. Because infrared season's kicked off now, I'm going to be shooting a lot more of this. So I'm due to go away in the summer, hopefully at some point, where we're thinking about a Euro trip again. So this will come with me as it did last year in France when we went away, and I was shooting with it all the time. And like I said, the beauty of it is you can hand hold, which kind of frees you up from using the tripod, especially if you're in and around cities and towns and stuff like that. So it's all good. So yeah, I'm going to pack up and I shall see you hopefully on the next one.